Walk through how to get started on rotoscoping. And the first thing I'm going to do is open up the file of my original movie. I have it right here, and I'm going to drag that down into Photoshop. Okay. When Photoshop opens, it automatically has a timeline here at the bottom when it has a video component. And if not, what you can do is go up here to Window, choose Workspace, Motion, and that'll give you all the pieces that you need. Typically what I have open is my layers over on the right hand side, my swatches on the right hand side, and down below I have the movie timeline. Okay, I can use the controls over here to play. Here's a quick preview. Alright, and down here I have something called a scrubber bar. I'm going to go back to the beginning. But the first thing that I need to do is change the frames per second. If I notice down here at the bottom, it says it's a movie at 30 frames per second, which is one thing, but I don't want to have to animate 30 frames for every second. The way that I can kind of reduce that number is to save my movie. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Render Video. And when I save my movie, this is my original movie, I'm going to change the frame rate to 10 frames per second. And what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to retitle this with 10 so that I remember that this is the 10 frames per second. So I choose my new title here. I'm going to put this on the desktop so I can find it easily, and my frame rate is 10 per second. When I hit render, it'll take a moment to export the video. Typically it takes about as long as the video is. Okay, now that the video has rendered, I am going to close this one. So I'm going to go up here and close it and not save it. Okay, so I don't need to save this. And then what I'm going to do is go and find my new video. Here's the new one where it says 10 original. Okay, now I'm going to pull that one into Photoshop. So I'm just dragging it on the icon. And here is my video that I'm going to animate. I can notice down here at the bottom it says 10 frames per second. So that reduces the number of my frames to animate by 2/3. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is create a layer for me to draw on. The way I do that is go up to Layer, Video Layers, and a new blank video layer. Over here you can see it appear in the layers. The next thing that I'm going to do, just for convenience sake and to help keep myself on track, is I'm going to rename my layers. So I'm going to rename the bottom layer. I'm going to call that Movie. And the top layer I'm going to call Draw. That way I know which one to draw on, which one is my original movie. There's nothing more discouraging than spending an hour drawing on the wrong layer, because you need to be drawing on this layer. If you draw on this one, you can't remove the movie. Alright, the next thing I can do to avoid that is to click on this lock icon, and that'll prohibit me from accidentally drawing on that layer. So now I'm going to be on this layer. I'm going to choose that, and down here I can see it's the draw layer. Below that is the movie layer. Alright, so there we go, and now I'm ready to go. Before I do anything else, I'm going to save. So I'm going to hit File, Save. And when I save now, you're going to see that it saves as a Photoshop document, which is fantastic because anything that I do to it will be editable. As long as I'm working on it, it's just going to be a Photoshop document. Alright, okay this. Alright, so now I'm ready to get going. And there's a couple ways you can do this. I prefer to use a pen and a brush, and up here I'll use different types of brushes. I kind of like this brush. It's a little pressure sensitive, and I'll use a fairly small size. I'm going to use about 10 pixels for my brush. The other thing that I had mentioned before is I like to have my color picker over here, and I'm going to use black. Now my frame here is a little bit small. So to enlarge that, I'm going to hold down Command plus. The other thing I could do is I could go up to View, and then I could zoom in if I want, but you can see the shortcut right there, Command plus. And that allows me to get a little closer so I can do my drawing. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm using a touchpad right now, just the laptop, and I can draw with my finger. Alright. I could do that. I can let go, draw, get as much detail as I want. And that's one way to draw. The way that I prefer to draw This also works just fine with a mouse if you're comfortable with that. If you want to get it a little bit more naturalistic kind of drawing, you can use a Wacom tablet or a pen pad of some type. I buy these inexpensive pen pads by Vistab, and I find that they work really good, and they're only about 40 bucks. So I can buy a couple for the class. Now I can draw fairly rapidly, and I can get that kind of fluid line that I want. All right, so here's the shirt. Now I can use my hand to scroll down a little bit. All right. Get some quick detail with a pocket here. Now I know this is a little hard to see, but I'm going to do something here in just one moment. You draw just a quick shoe here. All right. I can go over here to the layer pane, and if I click on this eye, it will keep my movie from showing up, and then I can examine and see how my work is looking. So I can see right now that I've missed a little bit of detail in the face. So let me pull that movie back up and draw glasses. All right, and a little bit of detail there. Let's take a look at how that looks. Okay, a little more interesting there. All right, once I get done with the stuff that I want to animate on this frame, perhaps on this one I might just give myself a baseline. I don't want all the trash that's in my yard. All right, and just draw myself a line across there. Looks like that. Then I can go down here and choose the next frame. All right, and then I do it again. So now I can draw the same thing. You can see that there's a slight amount of change here. Got a little shift on the way the face looks, the angle. It's more of a 3/4 view now. All right, and the rest of it looks pretty much the same. Now I can kind of try to get as accurate as possible, but one of the endearing qualities of using rotoscope is kind of that hand-drawn look. So I don't mind that my lines are slightly different than the ones below it. Scroll down. All right, get the leg down here. All right, just a note on the brushes. I can choose a number of brushes here. Using the pen pad allows me to use the pressure, and it'll give me kind of a sensitive line there. All right, there's how that's looking. Let's go back in here and put the line in. And I just drew it straight across. All right, so now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to take a look at frame 1 and then frame 2. You can see a slight bit of movement right there. All right, let me scroll up a little bit. Looks a little fuzzy when I do that, but that's just because I'm looking at it before it's been put together. Okay, so just that one little piece of action is already moving. Now the next thing I want to show you is this onion skin option. What this allows me to do is to see where my previous lines were drawn. What I'm going to do is go down to this icon here. It's kind of a little hidden icon. Click on that and I can see onion skins, enable onion skins right here. What that does, now I can see like a ghost image of the lines I had drawn before. And what that allows me to do is kind of regulate where I'm going to draw next. So here I am drawing my new figure. I can see where I've drawn before. I'll just zoom in there. It does darken a little bit. So it makes it a little harder to see on the dark video like this. Maybe I should have chosen a lighter video. But it lets me take a look. I'm going to pull off this bit of video here so we can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so I can see that the hand has moved. Let me go back here and put this elbow in. Okay, I can see the movement right here. That was the previous frame. This is the current frame. But I also know that the line back here hasn't really changed much. And again, I could copy this very directly, but I kind of like the handmade look. But using the lines underneath as a guideline allows me to keep some of those pieces in the same place, the ones that haven't moved. Okay. And when I move to the next frame, I can see the ones that I just drew. Okay, so I can start by drawing the new information that I can see. There we go. And then the new position of the arm. And then some of my pieces are still the same. I believe the lower leg is still in the same position. Oh, we've got a change here in the foot. Okay, so let me draw the new foot. Now I'm going to flip this off so I can see what I had underneath. It appears that one of my feet are still the same there. One of them is changed. My background is the same. Okay. So now I can turn that movie back on, go to the next frame, and now I've got another hand here. This one wasn't available or visible before. Okay, I can draw the head. Head doesn't look like it's changed much. Glasses. And let's take a look at the feet this time. Okay, here's one foot, here's the other foot. Alright, now I'm going to turn this off so I can see what I had before. I got the line down here last time. And again, my background. Finish the pocket there. Alright, now let's take a look at this by scrolling through these last couple of pictures and see how that comes across. First, I'm going to turn off my onion skin. So, turn that off. And I'm going to run through this short little bit. I can see how the movement's starting, reaching, and then pulling back. Let's take a look here. Okay, so I can see my figure starting to move. Looks like I forgot some of the glasses right here. There you go. So this allows me to sort of see the progress that's coming along in here. There's the hand moving out. Looks like I forgot part of the sleeve here. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so I can sort of check up some of the various elements in the images. All right, I can use that. I can either use the onion skin or not. The onion skin is very useful if I'm making up the animation. If it's something, like let's say I decided to animate this figure not as a person, but as a dinosaur. And I could use the movement of the figure to kind of guide my animation without actually being really faithful to the shape that's going on here. All right, so here's this. Much easier to see without the down, shoes. Okay, and again I like to kind of check. Oops, see what I've forgotten. All right. Flip them off. Okay, so that gives me an idea, and I've also got the background to go. Let's pull that back up. I believe it was here. All right. Turn this off, and I can see how my animation is progressing by grabbing the scrubber bar here and pulling through. All right. So I have animated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 out of 10 sections, slightly more than a half a second. So you can see how long this would take. Now, another thing that I could do, if I wanted to do more than just line drawing, is I could add in some color over here. So what I'm going to do is something a little more advanced. I'm going to add one more layer. And to do that, I'm going to go to Layer, Video Layer, New Blank Video Layer. And I want this one in between my drawing layer and my video layer. And I'm going to call this one Color. So this is where I'm going to add color. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the brush size. And I'm going to use a rather large brush. Let's choose this one. That'll give me some good color. It's about a 50 pixel frame. And I'm going to take a look at some color that I have on my movie. I can use the color picker over here to choose a skin tone. All right, and then if I'm on the color layer, I can use my pen to fill in, let me turn this movie off, behind the lines. So that allows me just to sort of drop some color in there. I can do that on every frame. Let me back up a frame. Oh, I have to move forward a frame. All right, I'm on the color layer, add the skin tones. All right, next frame, skin tones. Next frame, skin tones, and this next frame. Okay, so you can see that once I've done the drawing, it was fairly easy to go through here and add all this color by adding it underneath the layer. Gives me that kind of hand-drawn look. I can go back, let me go back to the beginning. Let's take a look at that blue shirt. Choose the color, I like that blue. Turn off this movie so I can see what I'm doing. Go back and choose my pen and fill in a blue shirt. Okay, so I can do this as a little dark. I can do this for each garment piece or each individual piece. It seems to work really well for me this way. I think I can do this kind of quickly rather than stopping on each individual frame and drawing all this. So what I would probably do is go to do all my line work through the whole video, then come back and color each individual frame as time permits. I think it's a much more efficient way of working. Okay. All right, so now I can see how my movie's looking with the shirt. Oops, I missed a frame. There it is. Get my blue shirt here. So I'm just coloring that in real quick. Now this time when I do the pants, I don't want them so dark, so I might just choose a color. I think I'll come over here and choose some khaki pants. Let's go down here and do the same for the pants. Oops, a little bit more like let's go darker color. There we go. Too much like the skin color. Okay, so there's one. I can do the same thing here. Just run through there and drop some color in real quick. I could do the same thing for every element. This way I can use my time kind of, like I said, like efficiently. All right, next frame. All right, and next frame. All right. Before I render, the next thing I can do is add just a solid background. I'm going to go and add another layer, only this time I'm going to add a static layer. I don't need this layer to move because it's going to be a solid color. So this time I can use just a new layer here. All right, so I'm adding this, and this will be my background layer, so I can call that background. And you'll notice that this one does not have the movie still there. Okay, I'm going to take the bucket and I'm going to pour white into this frame here, and this is how my movie is going to look. Now when I pull this through, I can see how it kind of shows up against my white background. Come to the top here and pull through. All right, I could do the same thing with my background if I wanted to. I could continue to add in my color, but having a nice solid white background really makes this piece pop. So when I'm done, now that I've got this all kind of, let's say I've got the whole thing done, I'm going to export my video. So I'm going to File, Export, Render Video, and this time I'm going to call it something that indicates that I've rotoscoped it. So I'm going to call it Roto. All right, and then I will render it. And again. All right, now that the video is done, let's take a look at our final movie. Here it is, original Roto. Let's play it. Whoops, that was pretty quick. Let me pull that back here again. Here's what my movie would look like. Just going to play it really quickly. I've only got the first part of it animated, so it's only going to show me just half a second there, but I think you can get the idea. All right, so that's the process. It's time consuming, it takes quite a while, but there you have it.